Yeah, the elite of podcasting was not that tonight, unfortunately. Maybe I'm a little off my game. Maybe it's the 2 pints I had down at the pub before we came in to do the show tonight. But hey, we are here, and this is the Oh No Wrestling Podcast. My name is Owen, and I am your Shark Break Kid. Along with me is none other than Duncan, the king of bong style, and our predictions champion of the world, our good friend, the modern day Maharaja Matthew. How you boys doing? Sorry about that intro there. I got there in the end.
I was confused, and I thought that I was back on the Oh No radio show like last week.
Yeah, I fucked that up. I played the wrong video.
Things were all going to hell.
Everything was going all to hell. But hey, we're here now, and that's just fine. It seemed a bit like an episode of Monday Night Raw to me. You know, it just.
Yeah, it was a bit jumbled, but somehow it still made it on air.
Yeah, exactly. We're here now, and what a better segue to that than to even just talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, as they are really truly two completely different shows at this point, which is interesting, you know. Like, once upon a time they were so similar. They were one and the same, right? Like, SmackDown always kind of, back in the old days, especially before it was live, SmackDown always felt a little bit like Raw light, you know, it
I mean, it was an hour less, so yeah, it basically was.
Yeah,
they were interchangeable, I think, is what you're
definitely interchangeable. That's a good way to put it. Yeah,
if you watch one, you're watching the both, especially when both rosters were the same.
Oh my God, remember that before the brand split?
Wow.
They did again, and how they literally used to run the same matches on both shows.
They still run the same matches, just not on both shows. Now it's just like the same matches on Raw, then the same matches on SmackDown.
And
actually, SmackDown's better about it. SmackDown is better about it. I like, in the ranking of WWE. Happy 100, by the way. Also,
yes, 100th episode of this fine thing. I can't believe it's still going.
Yeah, it sounded just like the first episode.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the ranking of WWE television, NXT, SmackDown, Raw.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah. And SmackDown has, I typically don't catch it live just because I'm hanging out with a friend, or we're doing, Friday nights are
Friday night.
Yeah, it's Friday night, man. It's usually me and Teresa's night though, together as well. So
yeah.
I'm not gonna subject her to all the wrestling all the time, every single week.
Gotta give her one night of the week, and it should be the end of the work week for her.
Yeah, and typically it is. So, I don't typically watch it live, but whenever I've caught some of the results or just watched some clips and what have you on YouTube, it feels just night and day, a better show. And it took a while to get there. It definitely wasn't there when it first went to Fox. It took a while to move in that direction. But now that it's kind of settled in, it's getting the best ratings of any WWE product, which of course it will because it's on Fox. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah,
but
network versus cable.
Right. But at the same time too, remember when they were saying that SmackDown was going to have a more sports orientated feel, like an actual sports show. It was not that at first. It was far from it. And I wanted to talk to you guys about that and kind of how that's developed over time, because now it actually does. It's closer to it than any WWE product has really ever been. Maybe besides, I guess NXT does have a bit of that sports oriented feel as well, but of the main roster, there's nothing that has been as close to that as SmackDown has been in the recent weeks. And they've been on a really good run. More or less since Roman's come back, right?
Yeah, definitely. But I also think one of the big things to point out too is one of the main juxtapositions between the two recently for me in recent weeks. Um, you know, SmackDown storylines have actually been better, and they are kind of more actual storylines. And they're, but not to say that they don't have some of the bigger arcs that they're playing to right now on Raw. But the big thing is that they're doing a lot of cinematic stuff on Raw. They're not doing that on SmackDown. SmackDown seems like an actual like pro wrestling, and Raw, it's like they're using cinematic and gimmicks to keep the storylines going.
Which is why I think if SmackDown did eventually want to go that direction, that it was a smart move to move the Fiend over to Raw from SmackDown. The Fiend needs to be on more of that cinematic styled show if that's indeed what they are going for. I don't think, again, the storylines have not been as good on Raw, but it's not without. It's not like, of course, they don't have plenty of talent to have amazing storylines. It just seems like it's very bizarre to me that this is the same company releasing two just completely different, styles of product that it's almost competing with itself in a strange manner. What do you think is the reason for that, Duncan?
I think that it has a lot to do with the fact that I think it's all Vince, honestly. Like, it's all how Vince views things. So Vince views Raw as the pinnacle flagship, be all, end all. I think he views cable, for some reason, he views the USA Network as being more important.
Which is weird. You'd think it'd be the other way around, right?
It should be the other way around. But, dude, I don't know. And then you just have to look at how this, like you say, how the storylines are progressing and the actual matches that they're having on SmackDown versus Raw. The pay-per-view matches are a prime example. Like, you end up having banger matches with the SmackDown talent. The Raw matches typically fall flat. Like,
I would agree with that.
Well, and that leads into the more like sportsmanship and sports product that you're getting on SmackDown, which I think is what Fox, especially in recent weeks, I guarantee you Fox said, like, fucking give us what we're paying for,
right.
Like we like, your ratings have been low. We asked for this, make a change. And, especially in recent weeks, as we've just noted, there has been some sort of change that gives it more of this sports centric. And I kind of like it. And I think that on a Friday night, that's what you want. Like, you want that,
especially too when they're leading into other sports games, be it the NFL or whatever it is. You want to be able to kind of bring that in, or sometimes they'll have an early game in the afternoon, right? Like that's typically what it is. You'll have an NFL game on Fox on a Friday that then leads into SmackDown, which you would want. I mean, if I was the network executive, I would want we're already watching sports as a family. We're home. We'll leave it on. You're more inclined to do so than if you see fucking fireballs come out of Alexa Bliss's hands, right? Like,
exactly. And I think that's where you saw, like, what was it, Christmas or something like that week when you had the NFL game and then SmackDown, and then they lost. Remember, I brought the Vince Russo quote a couple of podcasts ago where he's like, that's what it has. Maybe that is a huge turning point in the fact that they're saying, like, look, fucking keep people in, keep it sports centric, still tell the story, but actually tell a story and keep people engaged throughout, but actually have wrestling as well. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but the more I talk about it, I mean, you do have MMA fans, you do have boxing fans, and like those things typically happen on a Saturday night or something like that. So, like, granted, they don't happen as often as wrestling pay-per-views and such. I mean, I guess there's maybe one UFC a month, maybe two. I don't know how they do that shit. But regardless, I'm thinking that maybe they're trying to pull in some of that audience that is on the weekend when they don't have something used to watching some sort of like combat sport. Now they're giving them that with the sports entertainment a little bit and trying to break some of that. And you can still have some drinks with your friends and, you know, watch some wrestling, you know, after the game, stick around.
And I think a lot of people our age, a little bit older, a little bit younger, have a familiarity with wrestling anyway. So it's just like, oh yeah. And like, especially if you're just hanging out with your friends, like just, you know, having some beers, doing whatever on a Friday night, like, yeah, you know, it's like flipping through channels. Oh, cool. Like, and some weird matches going on, and somebody's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, that's all it takes.
Yeah, you can. It's all it takes. Because even if you didn't plan it, you can keep it on in the background, and you can still. Right. It's like a game. It's like a football game, right? Like you put it on in the background. You're getting ratings. There's commercials playing. You're getting exposure, and like people are just watching it, and like they can comment or not, but like they can drink beers, hang out with their friends. I agree.
And I think too, you know, like you do stand the chance of then sucking. You know, maybe it's not everyone in, but you get the 1 in 10, right? Of guy that was just like, yeah, remember I was over at Mikey's house the other week, and we like that wrestling thing popped on, and I hadn't seen it in a while, and like there was something that interested me, whether it be Roman Reigns, whether it be like a character that they haven't seen before, or a storyline or something, and you that's how the casual fan sort of develops into eventually then becoming like a every week I'm gonna tune into this, right? Because the story is there. I think with what's happening right now, it's really interesting, and I want to point out, and I want to ask a couple questions to both of you guys, and we'll get into more of the nitty gritty of like what was on SmackDown and what was on Raw and how they're so different, especially this past week. But I think what I wanted to ask you is with Daniel Bryan kind of having a hand in creative, which we've heard that is certainly the case. Mm-hmm. Do you think that he is helping with that breakdown that has consistently happened with WWE in it not truly listening to the fans? Because I have this feeling that Daniel Bryan is maybe a little bit more in tune with the internet wrestling scene and the internet wrestling community, that there are things that are popping up now where they're fan poppers. I mean, just literally having Cesaro beat Daniel Bryan clean last week in a singles match, that is huge to me because that never would have happened typically, right? I'm asking you guys the question, are WWE actually listening to the fans in the way that they said they were going to, whatever it was at the beginning of, was it 2019 or something, where they
we are the authority?
I would say no, they're not. They're maybe doing it a little more,
maybe.
But I would say Daniel Bryan had a lot to do with letting Cesaro put him over clean and was able to say, you know, because he said he's going to be more of a part-time wrestler. He's taking on more of that backstage. So like with that, he has the authority, I think, to say, I'm going to do this. But he also knows a good wrestling match and can wrestle like a very good wrestling match. So
and he knows he can have a great wrestling match with a guy like Cesaro. Like,
yeah, but he also knows he can put him over because he's going to be a part-time wrestler.
True.
You know, and like why? And so why would he if he's not going to try and do this big build, which I guess we don't know yet, but he seems like the type of guy who would be setting others up for success while he's positioning himself to make a transition more backstage. And with that transition in place, I feel, to your point, Owen, he has a lot more authority and a lot more heft in his words to be able to say, this is what I want to do. This is those types of things, you know, and I don't know, what is his role backstage going to be? Do we know? Is it creative? Is it, I don't know.
I feel like it's
walk around and say yes.
Probably, definitely that. But I feel like he's probably got something to do with creative.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
he's a really good wrestling mind, so
yeah.
that would
He's
make
got to be like a
sense to me.
booker or something, right? Like he's got to be somewhat
I mean,
helping
I think
book the matches and put them together, and
probably an
work with the
agent, yeah.
wrestlers. Yeah, like he's got to help plan. Like they come to him with like, here's how we want to finish and this, and he's probably like, here's how you got to help get there. Like I would do this instead. I don't know, maybe.
I think there's some of that. I think there's some like him going, like either coming up with ideas or going to the talent and trying to work out how they're going to progress the storylines as well. So I think there's a lot going on, and I think it's just like anybody else backstage that's not Vince McMahon. You kind of wear a lot of hats, and you have a lot of hands in a lot of different pots, and you're like, I'm sure he'll be helping people with like technique. He's a very good wrestler, so he can help people work on like, hey, work on this a little bit, and here's maybe train with some people and things like that.
It's interesting. It's 100% interesting you say that, because I'm skeptical. I really hope they keep Daniel Bryan working on the main roster and don't send him to NXT to help the kids. I feel like they've got enough over there to where they need somebody like a Daniel Bryan, a newer age guy that's not, nothing against Michael P.S. Hayes, but nothing against some of the guys that are Road Dogg or whatever. I mean, actually stuff against Road Dogg, but
well, right.
But you need more of like just retiring talent, I suppose, to help that next generation into the main roster. And Daniel Bryan is a perfect figure for that. A guy that kind of can take somebody that's more of an indie mentality and teach them how to be a main roster guy. Now, I know that's the idea generally of NXT of what to do with them, but I think that used to be the idea. Daniel Bryan is perfect for a main roster sort of like training role, rather than having everybody just come up to developmental and like, okay, you're good now, you're on the main roster. Like, no, like you still need working through the process of developing them, because like NXT, we know now, NXT, Raw, and SmackDown, they're three different things.
Right.
Yeah. So just looking into this really quickly. So from an article I just found, and I just Googled, so I took the top 3 here, but I just Googled Daniel Bryan WWE Backstage Role 2021. And basically there was an article from November of last year saying that, let's see, his promo on the episode indicates that he has a specific backstage role, which he is using to put over younger talents. And then someone backstage said, so let's see, a member of Wrestling Observer newsletter mentioned that Bryan is working differently in the backstage role from other people of past generations. Quote, one person noted to us that Bryan, as part of creative, is like others of his generation and the opposite of the prior generation, in that they don't want to take advantage of their position and feel it's their role to get over as many people as they can.
That's great to hear, though. That's exactly what needs to happen, especially in a day and age where all they can do is seemingly to pop a rating, bring up 10 legends on a show or whatever, right? Like every night is Legends Night. We know this, guys. Like this, it's every night is Legends Night.
Every night.
Yep. Well, and exactly, every night is Legends Night. And then so these other 2 articles were written in the past 2 days. And this one says, Bryan understands something that WWE often doesn't. He's not the future of the company, and neither are stars like Goldberg, The Undertaker, John Cena, or The Rock. So no more Legends Night with fucking, he might shut down Legends Night every single night.
/Legends Night?
Yeah.
Right.
When these guys step in the ring, it should be incumbent upon them to help make sure the wrestling industry has stars to usher the company forward. Letting these budding performers have a big win is good for everyone. And so this other one was basically saying he is behind his losses, and they're not a burial by design. They're not a burial. It's by design, which he came up with.
I think that's exactly what we've sort of been asking for too. It's like, we don't mind seeing a legend pop up on WWE TV every once in a while. I don't think we mind that. I don't. What I mind is when a Goldberg comes back and potentially takes a belt off Drew McIntyre. That I mind. That when you bury the Fiend, I mind. If a legend is popping up and especially getting into the ring, have it be in some capacity to further a future star. Don't just, it shouldn't just be there, just to pop a rating just because, hey, it's Hulk Hogan or it's Steve Austin or whatever it is, right?
Right.
If you're having that happen, like have them do something to develop the future. And they're idiots for not seeing this sooner, that for not trying this sooner. I'm surprised we haven't seen Cena pop up more. I mean, the last time we saw him was what, the Firefly Funhouse?
No, it was 2 nights ago when they announced the WrestleMania.
Oh, I guess
locations.
yeah. But that was a not in like the Thunderdome or whatever, not live. But yes, he did pop up. You're right. They did an announcement of that, and we'll get to that in just a second. But
I think as far as match goes, yes, it was the
Firefly Funhouse, right? It had to be, yeah.
Do you think he could do a Rumble appearance?
Ooh.
I think it's likely.
He could do a quick one, and he could actually help put someone over.
Yeah, he could get eliminated in the Rumble by someone. Like, have Cena join the Rumble, have him get eliminated by dbry.
Yeah.
That would actually work quite well. Especially if you're going to go with the story that dbry, this might be his last run. This might be like, he might be the guy to knock off Roman. And that's the thing about that is, like, if it is indeed his last run as a full-time wrestler, do you have him win the Rumble and then lose to Roman? Because that's going to be interesting if they do that. I can see them possibly doing that, though. Like, it's not outside of the realm of possibility of having, like, this big, huge, finally Daniel Bryan gets that big win, then loses to Roman. I just don't know, again, how that builds anybody a future star. Like that.
Brock's gonna win the Royal Rumble and then beat Roman.
I literally have in my notes, does Lesnar return at the Rumble?
Yes.
And after last year,
and actually, he probably won't beat Roman, but I absolutely think that
Lesnar wins the Rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. It's not my favorite option.
I mean, my other thought was that Goldberg somehow wins the Rumble, but he's going to be, and then have Goldberg versus Roman. So great, either way.
But then you have, whoever wins the Rumble,
Gilbert
should go after. And also, fuck that segment on this past Monday. Yes. And also, fuck Miz and John Morrison are pissing me off even more with this bullshit. They did it over the holidays. I hated all of it. Take a note out of AEW's playbook there and fucking do like a Christmas story and do it right. Don't do these fucking little bits. But, so whoever wins the Royal Rumble can choose which title they're going to go after, right?
Yeah.
So they could have whoever it is. And I don't know who it is, say they wanted to go after Roman, right? Like, say Brock doesn't come back during the Rumble, but he comes back and he interferes and fucks up Goldberg or something to get a shot at Drew. And then what if they do like a triple threat and fucking put Drew over and beats them?
But okay,
I mean,
that's like a best case scenario, really, if they put Drew over. I'm still worried that Drew's going to drop the title to Goldberg though at Rumble, and then
I think we're all worried about that. But look, back in the day, the Rumble was like I think we all remember Batista with the contract, right? Like in the thumbs up, thumbs down with Ric Flair and Triple H. But lately, the past few years, it's been whoever wins the Rumble challenges for their brand's title.
That's true.
They don't pick who they want to go after, so that's why it would be interesting, because I don't even know what fucking brands Lesnar would be on.
Isn't Charlotte the only exception to that in the last few years?
I think so.
I feel like she challenged for the NXT title.
Yeah,
so that
Yeah,
but
God, I really
just
hope they don't have fucking Goldberg beat.
Goldberg's
Drew
gonna beat
and
Drew, and then
Lesnar wins the
Lesnar's
title, and Lesnar
yes.
and Goldberg at Mania.
Again. We've
With
seen
Stone
it.
Cold as the special ref.
No.
Yes. Sign it up. Happening in Tampa.
Oh.
Night
Yeah.
2 on the pirate ship.
Vince is signing that with his fucking dick right now.
It's a good thing I did not renew my tickets for the like I
signed it with his jizz.
I am not going back to Mania this year, but I still got my tickets from last year. They won't work though, apparently.
Still got my tickets, but I'm not.
Do you think they're going to try and have a couple of people
I think they
Oh,
are.
they're 100%.
There's
I
no
don't
way
think
that they
there's-
can do it financially, I don't think, without having some people there. Like, it's just too. I mean, granted, they're going to be like, because Tampa or whoever owns Raymond James is probably suffering right now from not having fans. They're having some fans back for Tampa Bay Bucks games, which it's same arena where the Bucks play. So you would think they're going to have a limited amount of tickets available. And I just don't think that, I just don't think that you can do that without having some fans, without making it financially viable. It feels like it's going to be a weird, like, Thunderdome, some crowd mix or something like that, maybe.
Well,
also, there's got to be, like, fucking essential workers and shit like that who are starting to be vaccinated, and so, like, they could start offering
inviting
things like
them
that to
for
people.
free.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like, those people have been busting their asses,
Yeah.
like on the front lines for fucking almost a goddamn year now. Remember, we all thought it was like, oh, if we're good, let's just hunker down for 2 weeks, everybody. Remember, it's
We'll
gonna
be
be a rough
fine.
month. It's gonna be a rough month, guys. We're all gonna hunker down. It's gonna be weird, and like here we are a year later.
Yeah.
Yep. When we
So
hit 10 years in, we'll fucking realize
I
we were
think
all
that
stupid.
at least like people who are like working at hospitals and shit like that would be cool, because there's got to be fans of wrestling who
So
do those
the
jobs.
capacity at Raymond James is 65,890. Their record attendance is 74,512, which was for the college football playoff national championship game. So you could definitely get
20,
30,000
30,000
people in there. Also, Florida, no fucking laws here.
They can, more or less, if they wanted to fill it up legally, they can probably do it.
Yes, they absolutely can.
That's
I don't
just kind
think
of
they
on you.
will.
I don't think they'll go that route. No,
I don't think they will either, but I think, like, dude, I
disaster.
think they'll probably they'll probably have 30K in there each night.
Or they'll put fucking 10K in, and then they'll be like, official attendance at this year's WrestleMania breaking Raymond James Stadium, but it's 87,000.
Right, with Thunderdome screens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because they can count those as ticket sales.
Yeah,
Essentially.
Exactly.
Ooh, what if
But
they
I don't-
sold? What if they just sold ticket sales to WrestleMania on Thunderdome? They did the whole Thunderdome, and they just sell it as that. Like, they could probably get away with something like that.
You get a
They
seat behind
wouldn't-
like a fucking laser that shoots off all the
Seriously.
time.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Well, and then I don't know, man. I can see them putting a good amount of people in there just because of trying to break even on the production.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking Mania. It's going to be a big deal. Like, I'm sure that, I don't know. I wonder if they got money back from.
I'm sure that there's got to be an insurance thing too through the city, and like there's
sure.
something.
So rolls in all the money that they've already invested, just goes into, you know what I mean, like this year's. So maybe, dude, I don't know. Like, I have a feeling that they're gonna probably run at like 50% capacity, which seems to be about what things are running at in Florida. On average.
I think you're
if
right.
not more.
I think 50% is about what we're looking at. I think that's what they're gonna do.
Dude, fucking, I know you guys haven't had to go to an airport, but I mean, go to a fucking airport. Like,
I would rather not.
No.
But I'm saying, like, yeah, okay, COVID procedures, like, go through. I have fucking clear and TSA pre, and I'm still fucking like right up on people.
Right.
And people, and you get in the train, and it's like fucking packed right up on there. Like, it's literally like
no
it's out the window.
different than it was, before any of that shit.
Yeah, there's hand sanitizer and masks.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Dude, and on the trains especially, like you're fucking just, oh god, especially a DIA. Ugh.
Yeah, although DIA did a good thing. I don't know if you guys have to travel anytime soon. See if your airport does this. They have this thing called Verifly that you can sign up for. It's free, and so it actually, if you don't have pre or clear, it actually gets you through a line that has less people, and so you just have to sign up. And there's a certain amount of people they let in throughout the hour, every hour to sign up, and then they block off like the center train on the like the car on the train, and if you're on Verify, they only allow like 15 people on it.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I got my TSA pre, I think, a month before COVID shut everything down, so I've never been able to even use it.
Oh,
I've never
well,
been-
that's a bummer.
Good thing
At
it's
least
for
it's
3
good
years.
for yeah.
it's good
Global
for a
entry is
while.
good for 5.
Yeah, I just got mine.
Hell yeah.
That being said, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that Cesaro win against dbry and how it also affects the broader spectrum of things, because we've also in the same night got a Shinsuke face turn. It seems
And new music. Or
yeah,
Your
fuck
OG
yes.
music, yeah.
OG
no more
music
bullshit
is
rapping.
back. We can whoa again.
Man, I don't think any of us were into the new music.
I didn't hate it at first, but it's just like, oh no, it takes some of the fun away. Like, that was the whole reason for it, I think. But
I thought so.
It was such a big deal. Remember, I was actually at your house.
Yeah.
And Duncan was there, and it was after Mania 33 when he actually premiered. And like, remember, they had the violinist out there. It was like such a theatric and amazing, huge moment. And then it turned into what they just had it at right before this fucking face turn and turning it back. And then we're all like, oh yeah. Oh, this is a big deal.
And he's a big deal again. And
Yeah.
he's a big deal again now. All of a sudden, he had a good showing. Cesaro had a great showing, of course, against dbry to get that win. And there's a lot of people clamoring for, of course, that now that Shin's face, that Cesaro might, that there's going to be tension there, and that they're going to have a feud. And I think that can happen, but I don't want it to happen yet. What I actually want is Cesaro to sort of turn face with Shinsuke. And I think that both of them at the same time can now elevate themselves. You can do it as a tag team, or you can do it as single stars, but both have an alliance, and the two of them have now, sort of changed their trajectory. And I think it would be great for both of them if they were to switch sides, shall you say. And I think it would be great for Cesaro. Because both of them are it's interesting, because they're both that character that the internet and the wrestling community wants to see achieve more and get more, yet have not really been given the chance. So letting them sort of do it together would work for me. I don't know. That was just one of the thoughts I had, but I'm glad to see the music's back.
I could see it. I just I hope that this leads to some sort of Shinsuke push.
Yeah.
Do
you push it? I mean, what do you do though? Do you push him again for an IC or mid card belt, or do you have to go? I think you got to go for the main event with him.
Yeah,
if you're gonna push him this time,
Roman.
You have to.
Yeah. Even if he's gonna lose, he and Roman could have a real fucking tough ass match.
Yeah.
And this is the thing is Roman's matches are effective because they are not straight squash matches. When he has a match against a top tier talent, they're treating it like a top tier talent, like the match against Drew, the match against KO, the whoever else he's gonna have matches with. They're not short matches. They're hard hitting. They're establishing Roman as an asshole, but they're also establishing his opponents as worthy opponents.
It's well put. I also was kind of impressed at how the Adam Pearce thing developed, on last week's SmackDown. How they build it as, it was going to be Roman, Adam Pearce. I liked how they had the sort of like attempted trickery from Paul Heyman with the contract type deal, and then for it to end up becoming KO was cool. Here's the thing. This time, like the original time, like what was it? I guess it was the last pay-per-view when we had KO versus Roman. Or was that? Yeah. I didn't have a belief in hell that KO could win. I don't think any of us did. This time, it's sort of like, oh, well, what if? It's even more what if. We had a what if then, but now it feels like they could possibly do it. I really don't want to see them bury KO that much, to be honest. That's part of the reason. But I think it's more believable this time around. And the second time around that KO might be able to actually take that title and set something up for maybe a 3-way, triple threat, something like that down the road for Mania, especially with like the Goldberg thing. You know, like there is that with KO as well. So to me, I kind of have, and it might be screwy, but do you believe that KO might be able to do it? Might be able to defeat Roman? Both of you are thinking hard on this.
I mean, I know that he can beat Roman. Do I think he will beat Roman? No.
And if we're booking, yes.
Exactly.
Because that would go, but like they're going to hold on to this Roman thing for a long time. You're not going to go through the head of the table. You're going to have a lot more people like joining, that kind of family head of the table thing. You're going to have a lot of infighting within that so that you can have more people for Roman to go after, before somebody eventually does it, fucks up so badly as the head of the table. It's going to be like this kind of mafia thing, I think, like where like someone eventually fucking turns so hard that they're like, no, I'm taking over.
It's going to have to be someone from the inside is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a long, this is like the long grip.
I like that though. I like that. And you mentioned, while we're on the topic of it, but you mentioned like these people around him. Did you see the segment with Roman and Apollo Crews on SmackDown? That was an interesting segment because
I did not.
They didn't say really anything, but Roman is essentially, I'll walk you through it, like he's tutoring Apollo and how like, hey, yeah, no, this doesn't work. Like I feel like they are working towards Apollo Crews actually joining the family or the tribe, if you want to, whatever.
Interesting.
Which is great because Apollo Crews has always been incredibly talented, but it always lacked in, of course, charisma and sort of just the character work. So something like this could do wonders for a guy like Apollo Crews, who might be able to be taken a little bit more seriously now. They also then had an interaction with Apollo Crews and Big E on the show as well, where Big E kind of like manned up to Apollo Crews. So it could be like a stepping stone if we get Apollo Crews in there as part of like the family and he's under Roman's tutelage. Then you can have Big E feud with Apollo for a while before it then gets him the chance to maybe challenge Roman.
Yeah.
That's how my mind works with it, but for the first time ever, I'm interested in what they're doing with Apollo Crews' character. And I can't believe I've ever, that's the first time ever that has happened.
I mean, it's about fucking time. Apollo Crews is not a bad wrestler.
Hell no, he's not.
Like, this is the problem with so much of their talent that they've scooped up from the indies like a few years ago when they were just signing fucking everybody.
Was he an indie guy? Apollo?
Yeah, he was Uha Nation.
I did not know that. I thought he was an NXT homegrown. I didn't know that. Oh, my bad.
UHAA, like Uha Nation. But so, like, a lot of these guys that if they don't reestablish them in NXT properly, right? Like, and even Apollo Crews, like he was getting over on NXT.
Yeah, he was.
And then they moved him up too fast.
He never won a title on NXT, did he?
I don't think so.
I don't think he did either.
And it also, I don't think that, dude, they just kind of have the kiss of death when it comes to bringing up talent from NXT, right?
There's only a handful. There's only a handful.
Yeah, Roman. Nobody remembers that. Well, he was FCW.
Yeah, he's FCW. He doesn't count. Like that.
Yeah. I mean,
different system, really. I mean, it's Seth Rollins. It's Asuka.
Yeah. Charlotte. Becky. Bailey. Sasha.
Yeah.
The
all
women's.
the women. Yeah, I was gonna say Alexa.
Yeah. Bray.
He was FCW though too.
Yeah, I mean, dude, FCW, NXT, whatever. Like,
I just want my monster. Bo Dallas run. Heavyweight champion Bo Dallas needs to happen.
You just want to be a little baby face. Just maybe a little bit, maybe a little mid card run. I don't know.
I do karate shit. That's what I do.
Speaking of NXT,
speaking of karate shit, hold on.
Like, okay.
I know that you guys haven't watched all of the Impact pay-per-view.
Hard to Kill.
Yes, Hard to Kill. There was a match on there. Ethan Page has an alter ego called the Karate Man.
Oh,
and yeah, so just there's some cinematic,
pretty good
happening.
There's some good shit up in there that I need to check out.
I mean, yeah.
Can't wait. I'm gonna get out of surgery on Thursday and watch it. I'm gonna be all
you should
up.
definitely wait. Make sure that you're still high.
Yeah,
while you're doing it.
Real high.
Well,
make sure I take those painkillers too.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I will say, as we're talking about cinematic matches, really quickly, you're about to do a segue. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I was gonna say
we double segued. We were segue blocking each other.
What did you guys think about? If you didn't watch it, you at least heard about it and maybe even saw like the GIF and like or a clip of how they did it with Alexa this past week, and then Randy Orton's face mask.
Oh, the gimp.
Oh, Randy! It's in my notes. Randy in a lucha mask with fake burns is like my new favorite thing because it makes me giggle so hard. Like, now
it wasn't even a lucha mask. It looked like the ding dongs from WCW.
They're saying it's influenced by the Destroyer and Dr. X.
Sure.
That's what they're saying. But dude, I'm looking at a picture of it right now. And
who were the gold? Remember the gold? What were the gold guys?
The ding dongs.
Was that the ding dongs that I'm thinking
that's
of?
The ding dongs.
That's exactly.
Yeah, one's name is Ding, the other one's is
Dong. Okay, yeah, all right, yeah, that is exactly right. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, it was like he took that mask and turned it inside out and then put it on his head.
I don't know.
It looks like he's wearing a pair of fucking whitey tighties that he fucking like cut a nose hole in.
Yeah,
over his. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how
it's
you
do this.
It's
you know what though? It's a better look than his clothing line.
This is accurate.
It's very accurate.
And the Alexa Bliss shit was cool, and I'm down for an Alexa Bliss Asuka feud. Like, I like how she's basically like she's the Fiend now. You realize that, right? Like she's
of course.
She's taken over the entity of the Fiend.
It's like she's actually Sister Abigail almost. Like
without calling her that, yeah.
She has become. I mean, I think it was cool that they did. Like, I like that they did kind of the outfit change and everything. Like, you know, when but I will say I did like when she's on the swing and like Asuka tries, like she's like no, like the Fiend is like someone. There's a presence there. Like that was good. Kind of like fucking for me, like watching a storytelling. Like that was good. I don't know how long they can pull that off without if they're going to start bringing people back.
Yeah.
They can use it to an extent, but like I think this is the only time you can really do things like that.
I think you can still do it.
I
You
still
just
like it.
it just takes longer, and you've got to do a lot more. It's a lot more of a pain in the ass. You got to do lights out, under the ring, switcheroo. You know,
You gotta
like,
change clothes, like.
you just got to get creative of how you do it. Like it can happen,
But the end result I thought was cool, where she did the Sister Abigail. She wins, and then you see like her lipstick was fucking smeared and shit like that.
yeah, it's
And
kind of hot.
She's
I'm
wearing
not
the,
gonna
it was
lie.
real hot, and
Yeah.
she's looking at the camera, and like I think she kind of licked or bit her lip, which was even hotter.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
then it was dark, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm normal," and then did like the
Yep.
you know, and I thought that was done well. I think for the cinematic things that they are doing on Raw, which we started off on the podcast
Mhm.
talking about, I almost called it a pay-per-view, which it should be because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
our 100th episode.
That's
but-
coming soon. Oh no,
Yeah.
wrestling podcast pay-per-view.
Podcast pay-per-view.
Yeah.
every other
per-view.
weekend. But basically, I think that that's like one thing that they're pretty much getting right, and that I like seeing.
It's one of the story arcs that's actually worked for me, and even though I can't even, I've never been able to stand Randy Orton. It's the best work he's ever done for me. Like I think it's phenomenal.
Do you think they're gonna fuck it up with an Edge comeback at Royal Rumble, and then he's gonna be at WrestleMania in the greatest wrestling match ever?
Yeah,
too,
of course, it's
wearing
WWE.
a pair
course.
of whitey tighties on his face.
Yeah, that's
Well, yeah, I mean, he was one of the ding dongs when they did that bit. So
But then this also begs the question: when does and I think that this is great that I'm asking this question. Actually, like
Oh.
this means that I'm
tap
invested
yourself
in
on
the
the
story.
back, Barry Horowitz.
Well, no, I just
Alright,
think it
carry
means
on.
it's not me. It's like to their credit, to
Yeah.
WWE Creative's
And
credit.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
Is when is the Fiend coming back, and how? That's what the question they have me asking.
Yep.
And I don't know, which makes me think that they're actually planning something and doing something good. The cynical side of me is like, they still don't know what the fuck they're doing. And so they're going to let this play out and let it get real fucking boring and stale. Then they're going to pull some bullshit and I'm not going to care. But right now, because this is kind of like the height of what of this almost, I feel like they're taking it to a point. They can't let this point go much further without having another development, right? And that other development doesn't mean the Fiend has to reappear immediately, but they have me questioning and they have me wondering, so they have me booked into like the story, right?
The
They hooked me.
motherfucker was set on fire, so he's like, if you're gonna re-debut the same Fiend with the same mask, he's got to be like the burnt Fiend. Like
He's gonna have Phoenix wings.
And I'm okay with
Honestly,
that. I think I'm okay with that.
I think if you evolve it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's the way Slipknot evolves their masks, which makes sense because it's the same mask maker. Like, but yeah, like they have always sort of like every tour, every album, they evolve. The masks are a little bit different, still the same feel. But there was one who would actually like during the show, like his mask would start off all bandaged up, and like during the show he would unravel it to reveal like a bloody grotesque clown, because it's clown. But
cool,
like, it was really cool, and I can see them doing something like that to have this be like the next iteration, but it's the more, dude, like if you can make the Fiend more intimidating, make it darker. I know it's a stretch considering he carries Bray Wyatt's decapitated head with a lantern in it. But if you just a little bit more, just like make it a little bit darker, just turn up that just a little bit, you will scare the fuck out of people, and it will be awesome. I will be in.
I think you can do that, but what the way you have to do that too. I mean, I would not want to get rid of the sociopathic like thing where he has like, of course, the two different personalities. I would not want to get rid of that. But now you've basically got to have the Bray Wyatt that is the Funhouse Bray Wyatt in the sweater. Like, how do you portray that? That is the question.
I don't know that you have it be the Funhouse anymore.
Ooh, the Firehouse. Something I don't know. That's
Yeah, the fire. Well, I mean,
the House
I
of
think-
Horrors. Maybe like you could.
yeah, like maybe it sent him back, dude. What if you take Swamp Cult leader Bray,
Ooh, make him the host of
And-
the Funhouse.
him and Firefly Bray, and
I
sort
like-
of meld those two together?
I actually like that a lot.
You know what I mean?
That's a really
Like
good idea.
A psychotic Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
That's not as
Not as clean cut.
schizophrenic. Yeah, like not as schizophrenic as sort of this Bray Wyatt is. Like maybe instead of having the puppets, you know what I mean? Like he just is talking like you know what I mean? I think there's a really good way.
Almost
to do
like a
it.
preacher. Almost like because
Oh,
like
dude, I got the perfect.
Legends Night.
oh he froze.
Oh,
he
fucking,
froze.
every single fucking day. I've literally thought about asking the cops because there's a high police traffic. Like they're always around.
You got the
Like,
ghetto birds.
Has anyone ever like mentioned that this dude is doing this? But what you're describing as like a semi-psychotic swamp fucking like person. There's this homeless guy. Every single day I take my dog out, right?
Right.
And used to take yokers out too. We'd walk literally like two blocks down under the bridge, and he's not there at night. He's not there in the morning. He comes in the middle of the day, and there's this bridge, and it's called Spear Boulevard. And there are these two fucking there are these steps that come down. There are these parks all around and everything. It's just one dude, and he's got long hair and this long beard, and fucking he shows up and he sits in the stairwell, one stairwell every time, and he just fucking threatens everyone's life, screaming at them
Ooh.
from that stairwell. Like says scary mean shit, like literally. Like I walked by today and
What
he's
type of
like,
place do you live in?
and he's like, dead man walking right there. No one can save your soul. No one can save your soul.
Thought
No one
people
will
in
ever-
Denver were nice.
Not
No,
this
no,
guy.
no. Not the homeless people.
This guy also talks like you'll walk by and he's like, if I had my guns, I'd be shooting all you motherfuckers. Like, but and so I've thought like, how come no one has ever mentioned? I'm like, there's like women and kids walking by,
Yeah.
like,
I
and
know
this guy
right
is
where you're
literally just
talking about.
threatening. Like,
Yeah.
I literally was like, Bella was shitting the other day, and I was generally just staring at my dog, about to pick up her shit, and he just keeps yelling, "Stop fucking looking at me!" So, and like, I'm feeling like that level of psychotic is
Yeah.
kind of what I want. That's Bray
That's what
Wyatt
you
swamp.
want. Homeless, angry man Bray Wyatt. That's
Yes, that makes no sense.
but I like it.
I love it.
I like
He's
it.
constantly
in.
like yelling and aggressive.
Yeah, old man yells at cloud type like, scenario.
Yes, like
Pretty much.
pretty much.
I
I'm pretty
love
sure
it.
that dude was in my alley in Denver once.
He might have been, dude.
Yeah.
This dude's. I'm to the point where I've almost been like, "Shut the fuck up."
I think that's
Like,
all he
I'm
wants
like
is somebody
really
to interact.
fucking close to saying "shut the
Yeah.
fuck up."
Duncan probably like gave him a hit off his fucking weed pen one time. Like
No, definitely. No, he sounds like the guy who was yelling, "He's raping me" outside of my fucking window. I'm like, what is happening?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
wonderful.
but I'm
Welcome
picturing
to
picturing
Colfax.
that. I think the only other way that they could fuck it up is if they decided to do like a rebirthing of the Fiend, and they
He
had
actually comes out of a birth canal.
Nicholas show up in a Fiend mask
Oh.
on the swing set next to Alexa, and then they had the Fiend kind of like cocoon back into himself. That
Dude,
would be
Nicholas
horrible.
is like 13 now. Like
Nicholas was
he's
actually
probably
like
like
he
21,
he was
probably like
he was
buying
let
beer.
go on Black Wednesday. I saw it on the website. Nicholas was
Oh,
let
that's
go.
true.
He's part of the
Poor
yeah.
Nicholas was actually shot in the head on Black Wednesday.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
They had to murder the poor child.
Well, he's coming back in the Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant, and he's winning.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Speaking of surprise entrance, that's actually one of the questions from Steve Stinson on Facebook. And he says, how many surprise entrants for the Royal Rumble can you guys name or guess? He's like, Edge, Fiend, The Man. I don't want to see The Fiend come back in the Royal Rumble. I don't think that's the right place for The Fiend to re-debut.
I don't think so either.
Edge, I think they're going to wait for a crowd. I think you see Edge at Mania, not necessarily at the Rumble. That would be my better guess.
They'd be doing it 2 years in a row if they did it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right. Like it feels. And then The Man, I'm not sure Becky wants to come back yet.
I'm not sure if she's actually like able to come back yet. Honestly, like how long ago did they have the kid?
December, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yes, she's not ready to come back yet.
She needs a little bit of time. I mean, yeah, it's possible, but
I feel like SummerSlam is a more likely.
SummerSlam
seems about right.
I mean, but do you think Seth Rollins comes back?
Possible.
I could see Seth. I could see Seth Rollins.
That.
I could
He's
see
been
that.
gone long enough. People might care if they get rid of the Monday Night Messiah music shit. Like, but if they actually bring back the old school Rollins intro.
Am I the only one that likes the Monday Night Messiah gimmick?
I was getting into it, but I think that now that he's gone, I just don't think that it holds any weight. I don't think he can come back and be like, I'm still the Monday Night Messiah.
Especially after the way, he ended it. Like with
he sacrificed himself,
right.
You know.
That's what Messiahs do. Well, it's really the Monday Night Martyr now. So
there you go.
You know. So
we'll go that route.
So,
I think that it would get a bigger. I would say it would get a bigger reaction. Like there's going to be fucking fans there. Never mind. It doesn't matter. They're going to just pump in the music anyway, and it'll sound like a giant end.
But if you had to burn it down, like coming out with him, like the old gimmick, it probably would get a better reaction from a lot of people as a return. I can understand that logic.
I mean, we already talked about it. Like, who knows? Maybe a Cena.
Samoa Joe,
Steve Austin. Oh man, Samoa Joe would be fucking awesome.
That's like, who I want. I don't know if it'll happen, but I think he's cleared. So he would need to do like a big. They have to push him hard.
Showing,
yeah. They have to push him real hard for that to mean anything, and I don't know that there's a place for him right now with that.
Right.
On the women's side, I got one. I think Rhea Ripley shows up in the Rumble. I think she wins the Rumble. Actually, that's my dark horse pick right now. That. I might change it before we do actual predictions, but I think it's time for Rhea Ripley because of the year that she's had and kind of like I think they're building to something. She would be probably my second pick. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any other, like they might throw a couple other random women in there.
Oh,
anyway.
Actually, Bianca Belair's on this fucking WWE graphic I'm looking at right now for Royal Rumble. Sorry.
Yeah, I think she's declared for it. I think that like they might throw a couple of, like maybe they'll throw Candace or Shotzi in there, somebody who will get a.
They typically do. They typically throw like 3 or 4.
Maybe they'll
NXT
throw
chicks or whatever.
Yeah,
like there's usually like a classic, you know, like a
Mickey James or even
Alita,
older than that,
or you know something. And that like, dude, males Rumble is kind of tough. Like I'm really hard pressed to think of who. Okay, who?
It's dbry or Keith Lee is the for winner for me. Like that, those are the two.
I think they're gonna. I mean, we've heard they're gonna try and do that dbry match, right? At Mania, you think they're gonna stick with that?
I mean, maybe. I'm really just saying, like, as far as surprise
entrance, which is the question. You're right.
Yeah. Like it. I think that. Yeah, maybe Seth Rollins.
I think that's like the. I don't know. I think
have Aliester Black come back, but do something with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's another one that I want to see come back, make a surprise entrance. But if you don't do anything with him, what's the point? So, Yeah, I get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Damian Priest.
Oh, that's probably
That's a-
likely.
That's a good shout. That's a really good
Probably
shout.
likely. I think
Won't win, but have a good showing,
Yeah.
look really good, and then set him up for the next night on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, he and Rhea Ripley are both done with NXT. Their
I think
call-ups
so.
are imminent. You know what I mean? Like,
Surprised it hasn't been already.
well, I mean, they wanted Priest already, but we talked about that.
Well, and they've bantered about. It seems like with Rhea Ripley too. They've gone like she almost had her send off match before the one we
She's
saw.
had multiple send-off matches, so I'm surprised that it hasn't happened yet. But it needs to happen now because she'll be a new dominant force until, I guess, dude. Oh, Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I
Oh,
saw it.
yeah.
I wonder if they're waiting for a crowd.
That could be.
It could be,
Well,
But how long
well-
are you gonna wait for a fucking crowd? Like it's
you're not going to have the Royal Rumble at WrestleMania. So,
Yeah.
like if you're looking to bring people back, this is your best bet.
and now you can set them up for a crowd and sell a show for WrestleMania with Ronda
Yeah.
Rousey, with a lot of these people that we're talking about. I mean, even Brock Lesnar, right? Like this is the way to
Brock
sell.
Lesnar
to
versus
set-
Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I want to see Hurricane Helms make an appearance.
The
Just
Rock,
because-
The Rock is definitely going to win WrestleMania. Yeah, that's gonna happen.
Dude, I actually bought a bottle of his tequila the other day.
Yeah,
How is it?
And took a sip out of it. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not bad for the price point. I mean, they put a fucking celebrity's name on it, so I just figured
Sure.
I'd try it. I mean, it was on
Yeah.
sale for $26.99. I was like, all right, that's the cheapest I'll probably find it.
Probably.
But it seems like a sipping tequila.
Okay. There you go. Doesn't seem like The Rock's too interested in shooters.
no.
Not a whole lot of snake bites for Dwayne.
I also think that backtracking a little bit, if they do The Rock, I mean, we've talked about this before. Rock Roman has to be in front of a crowd, and
Yeah,
what
They'll
better?
wait till next year.
We'll wait till the following year when hopefully things have cleared up and they can have a full audience
Wait.
in Hollywood. I believe it is right. So
No.
No.
That's
is that the
Oh,
year following?
23. Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
So
Where's the next one? Dallas or something?
Dallas.
Dallas.
well, I've got one final fucking person for you.
What
Oh,
surprise entrant?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the modern day Mataraja.
Oh.
Jinder Mahal.
Jinder.
baby.
Bring him back. You know
Bring
what?
him back, especially if you're doing WWE fucking India or whatever
Yep.
it was called. Bring him back.
Yeah,
there's
Jinder
there's
will
this
be back.
certain weird thing that I've
Fucking, I want it. I fucking want it.
I'm in now. Like Jinder was of course
Don't hinder the gender.
Jinder has become such a bit of a joke because of his title run and how he probably shouldn't have had it and all that. But at this point, I actually kind of feel bad for him, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm Team Jinder because
Yeah, and
he's
he just fell to like irrelevancy so quickly after that. which
great,
is, like,
great entrance. You can't
his
knock
entrance
his
is fucking dope. Actually,
Yeah.
the shit on the ramp,
ramp
and it's
that
fucking
comes
the
in,
trippy
like-
shit. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good promo, and if I tell you what, if
He's
Jinder
fucking
had
jacked.
he's jacked as shit, not a
just fell
terrible wrestler, not the best, but if he had a better finisher,
Or if he did his finisher better.
one of those two things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he just got lumped in as a generic brown heel, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
WWE just was just like, you're a rich Indian. I don't fucking know. Go.
Yeah.
on.
Be a
We're gonna
reg-
give you these two other Indian jabronis.
Yeah. They're gonna dance or something.
But I'd like to see him come back.
Although Owen and I did dance like a son of a bitch. to
Oh.
Bollywood Boys.
When me and Duncan had the pleasure of seeing the Bollywood Boys on that was a 205 taping.
205 taping, yeah.
Before NXT when we went, we were all for the Bollywood Boys.
Yeah,
Like,
we were definitely we were cheering for all the people they didn't want us cheering for.
Oh yeah, the other two jabronis that were in there, we were just like, boo,
We
boo,
don't-
boo.
We We didn't know who the fuck they were. I still don't know who the
I
fuck
still
they
don't know
are.
who they were. They weren't bad, but they weren't the Bollywood boys
No,
who
they
I
weren't
know.
the Bollywood boys. But if you bring back Jinder, you have to bring back the Samir and some.
You
like,
got
have
to
bring them.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
bring them back. There
And
was, oh god, remember that one? It was one of the two. I think it was Samir.
That Randy Orton tried to murder.
Oh god, I'm surprised he's alive. Like,
Yeah.
there was a couple of
I
times.
really haven't
there.
seen him a whole lot. But...
The short hair one, the whatever.
Yeah. The one that got dropped on his fucking head.
Oh god. And it was like week after week too. Like there were a few weeks there where the Bollywood boys were just literally getting absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Dude, like he landed on the back of his head, like Kenny landed on the back of his head off that doomsday device at Hard to Kill.
Ooh.
Like that was a fucking gnarly, like, oh
Yeah. Also, real quick before we get into that, because that's a great segue.
That is a great segue.
I will say the way that you bring Ronda Rousey back would be fucking Shayna Baszler in the Rumble. Ronda Rousey comes out. They fucking start doing it. Rousey fucking like clotheslines her. They both go out of the ring to nobody's fault but Rousey's because she flips over also. Then they fucking fight. You set up a match for them at Mania.
And they keep fighting. Yeah, dude.
Book it.
I'm in on Rousey and Baszler.
That's cool.
Fucking book it.
Yeah, they're not doing anything with fucking Baszler anyway, so
Nope.
why wouldn't?
No, they're doing this bullshit with Nia Jax that nobody cares about.
Sorry, yeah. I
Oh.
just
No,
thought
you're
of that.
right.
Sorry.
You're right. WWE.
You're right. I'll
Book it.
sign up
Fucking-
on that.
yeah.
Switching over though to exactly what you just proposed, was talking
my
about
one segue for 2021.
Hey, you got it,
leave
buddy.
to the professionals.
talking about Impact's Hard to Kill, and of course, the only part that I have seen is the main event, being, of course, is it? I don't know. Is it the Bullet Club? I don't know. Whatever they're calling themselves.
I saw some fucking things on Twitter and things like that. It was the picture of Kenny in the ring wearing the Bullet Club shirt.
Yeah.
And fucking with the AEW title. And it was like
next level
Kenny Omega in an Impact Wrestling ring wearing the AEW title and a New Japan Pro Wrestling stable t-shirt fucking on a pay-per-view in 2021 is some next level shit.
It really is.
Really is some next level shit, because I think that this now finally points to the longer arc that we're going to get, is that there is going to be a play with New Japan in this.
They've been working on this.
They
for
can't
a while.
do it due to the pandemic, but I think it's the longer play. Again, we got the long grift going on here.
I hope it is. Meltzer said that it, like him wearing the shirt, is just him wearing the shirt. That Gallows and Anderson were just like, you should wear this because it'll.
But
get
Gallows
a rise out of people.
Gallows had Bullet Club on his fucking tights.
I know.
And how do you get away with that legally if New
they're
Japan
not-
owns the trademark?
But they're not selling it. They're not making money off of it.
So you can wear it, but you can't.
Yeah.
Sell it.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I.
I'd like, dude,
but you're on a pay-per-view.
But they're not making money off of
It's a real
Bullet Club.
Real gray area. Real gray area.
I think it is.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
just
know.
saying,
I'm not
like-
an attorney by any means, but if I were,
We could argue it either way. Let's be honest.
it could go any way. But you make a good point. If you were the defense,
Yeah.
you would have me thinking.
I mean, Dave Meltzer is the defense. I am just reading telling you what I read. So I know that.
I think Dave Meltzer's in on shit though too sometimes, and
I don't necessarily disagree.
And I think they use Dave Meltzer and like whether he knows it or not. I think they red herring him all the
Oh, of
time,
course
so
they
that
do.
things
I
pop
think
up
there's
and
I
then.
think there's a fucking longer play here. Despite
I hope
Dave
there
Meltzer.
is.
Kota
I hope
Ibushi being champion in New Japan has to be part of that longer play. It's
I'm
gotta
telling
be.
you, we've got to see this fucking Omega Ibushi.
The affinity ring thing.
You guys set it up for me, and now I'm all in. I wasn't on for those 2 fucking weeks, and you guys got me all worked up, and now I'm all in on the ideas that you guys were propagating during those 2 weeks.
Well,
This is how fake news starts.
yeah.
Well,
Duncan,
I mean, you guys
Duncan is a
now I'm
cult
in.
leader. Look at him. Look,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
look at him. He looks like a cult leader. Like
I know.
Obviously.
When am I
Actually-
putting on the
actually,
white
we both
Reeboks
do.
and fucking drinking out of the goblet you sent me?
I mean, look, we gotta. That's Patreon content.
Okay.
First of all, like that's premium shit right there. And we got to get more people to join the club.
Oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
the Bullet Cult.
Dude, how awesome would that be if it's just like Bullet Cult?
Yeah, but one of those did that a couple Wednesdays ago. I don't want to go down that
Yeah.
road.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We were concerned.
But it
So-
was a really good show. Hard to Kill. Like, well, the main event was a really good show.
I watched some.
That's all I've seen.
General reading through the results. Obviously, you and I watched the main event together.
Yeah.
And we're able to watch that. That was pretty cool. I think it'd be cool if all three of us can actually do something like that sometime.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
if it's just for us three, like we don't have to record it or anything. It'd just be fucking fun to watch wrestling with you guys.
Absolutely.
It's
virtually.
more. Let's be real. Like, it is more fun to watch wrestling with your friends than it is to watch alone. Like,
Especially friends who are into wrestling.
I remembered that when me and you, Duncan, went to that show the other week. Like, it's
Absolutely.
just like, oh, that's one of the biggest parts that I've missed. Of course, it's nice to see some live action and all that, but having the back and forth of just kind of us bullshitting and
Yep. Talking shit with your friends at a wrestling show, like
Yeah,
we
which is-
all do.
Which is why, like, Duncan and I, when he was traveling and I could show up, whether it was in Houston or like, we then like fucking like sit in like the hotel or whatever when we're not watching like live Ring of Honor or something, but like we sitting there watching fucking matches for hours on end,
Yep.
just shooting the shit, fucking watching wrestling,
And Kelsey's like,
so much
"Oh my
wrestling."
God.
like fucking like 12 hours of wrestling, like for like 3 days straight,
Just binging, just
binging.
shit
It's
in
fun
that
though.
weird hotel room.
Yeah, but it's so fucking fun and like
Exactly.
yeah, and just
And-
shooting the shit and just like having it on, which again goes back to like people watch Friday night with their friends,
Right.
bullshitting and fucking
Yeah.
watching wrestling.
Exactly.
100%.
And I like, as much as I have been like, no, we need to be safe. I'm like, fuck, wrestling is so much better when there's people there.
Oh yeah.
And like, it's nice that Impact finally started doing the piping in the audience.
Oh,
Like,
it still feels very empty. It does,
dude, but like, did you watch any of their shit without that crowd noise pumped in? Like,
no.
it was bad.
Yeah, no,
It
I
was-
did. I did actually. Yeah,
It was just as bad as WWE at the beginning.
All of that at the beginning.
It was worse than the PC. Let's be real. Like it
Yeah.
was. It was worse.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. And it was, but yeah, like any time that you can even pump in a little bit of crowd noise, it's gonna be better than nothing, I feel. So just like, please, all wrestling shows, just a little bit.
Just a
it's
little
fine.
bit, just to
We
kind
know
of
that
fill
there's
the
nobody there.
void.
We don't care.
Yeah.
yeah, we also we're in. We know what we're watching. We're fucking
That's
in
what I'm
on it.
saying. We're
Like,
watching wrestling.
Help me
Goddamn
tell
it.
the story. It's the same thing. You watch fucking a movie on silence. I'm sorry, because Owen, you understand. Duncan, you definitely understand from production, but Owen, you understand because you also fucking did like recording arts and shit like that, like
yeah.
in like sound production, like I did for fucking college. Like, put any of your fucking favorite TV shows that are not wrestling or movies or anything, put it on mute and tell me you're getting the exact same emotional feeling and things like that because you don't have like the music and the fucking thing and the sound and like it's there. Like that's how you
The
evoke
fans
emotion.
are part of that soundtrack.
They are.
Is what it is, and
Yeah.
and I'll say that when it comes to that main event, like I'm not surprised, of course, that Kenny and the Good Brothers won.
Right.
Are we assuming instantly that Kenny's going to challenge Rich Swann for that title? Like, are we going that direction? Does he go for Moose's title, which is kind of like that unofficial
TNA championship?
Yeah. I think both those matches would be really good. I think
What if he does both?
And then it's like maybe they can do a unification at that point too, which is maybe needed. I don't know. I don't know how that goes.
I mean, that would actually make sense in my eyes, is that Kenny would take both of those and then just unify them.
That'd be cool. I also wonder though too, it's just like, how long can they get away with this Kenny Omega? Like, we know he's good, but do we have it like, I mean, is he like every promotion apart from goddamn WWE like champion good?
Yes.
Is that what we're doing? Like, do you think that that's like?
Yeah, they're trying. They're doing their fucking damnedest, and he is the one. Like, there is no one, and it's not just because I'm a fucking Kenny Omega stan, because I totally am.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but I've been talking about him for a while.
It's like, he's kind of new. His name.
Listen back to the podcast. I've been talking about him for a while. I really
Curly
like
hair
the
guy. Curly hair guy.
Yeah, curly. He's from Canada. He's from Winnipeg, you idiot. But basically, like, this is the dude who can put wrestling, like, and it's not just him. It's pro wrestling to another level. And I think that he understands it's not just about him. It's about pro wrestling. And it's about putting eyes on all the fucking like, he is the fucking Monday Night Martyr. Like, this dude is going to, like, literally, like,
put the industry on his back.
Put the industry on his back, and then put fucking people over.
Yeah.
Like, I think he is, and like, the dude to do it. And what better way to do it, not just on one brand, but to actually have this play where you can do it and put eyes on, say pro wrestling isn't just this promotion, right? Because that's been kind of the thing, like, with AEW. It's not just this promotion. We're AEW too. But guess what? It's not just AEW. It's these other promotions.
Right.
There are these other promotions that even the people who went from WWE or who still watch WWE like we do to watching AEW know about these other things. Maybe they didn't know. Now they're starting to watch. Now they're paying more attention. Now they want these people to succeed and work through these other programs. I think that there is something to do with that. And I will say, I did look up because I wanted to see if they were selling the Buenos Hermanos t-shirt that fucking Carl Anderson was wearing.
It's cool.
I can't find it on. I can't
It's
fucking
on
find
collar
it on
and elbow.
Is it on collar and elbow?
It's on collar and elbow.
Okay, because that's a fucking awesome shirt.
Yep.
The Bullet Club Trick or Treat shirt that Kenny was wearing is on fucking Pro Wrestling Tees.
And New Japan gets all the money from that.
They do. They do. But
speaking of which, do you think
I've almost bought that shirt 17 fucking times, I swear.
Yeah, because that seems like a tie-in for both things of you, Duncan.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You love
Wrestling and Halloween.
Yeah.
It's definitely, that's like you have every other fucking Bullet Club shirt on Earth.
It's true.
Yeah,
like, I know
apart from that one. That's weird that you don't.
I've seen them.
Yeah, you have seen them. It's true. I have a lot.
Speaking of which, though, too, like, with, of course, the Bullet Club existing in Japan with Tama Tonga as its leader, and like him saying, you know, like, that's not the real Bullet Club with what's going on, of course, in AEW and Impact and Kenny and everything with the Elite. Do you think that we're actually going to get that? Do you think we're going to get a feud? Like, is this more work? Do you think this is more shoot? Where would you stand on this being, like, real or fake? I think I lean towards this being a work. I think this
I think it's a work.
I think that we're going to get kind of an Elite versus old school Bullet, or not old school, new school Bullet Club, whatever the hell you want to call it.
You get Bullet Club
like,
versus the Elite.
Bullet Club versus the Elite is that's the way you would promote it, right? Like that.
Yeah.
That would make more sense. And it would sell hard in Japan, and as much as it would here, and with New Japan starting their U.S. thing, like that.
Dude,
kind
you
of
do it
fits
twice
in.
over. You do it twice over.
Yeah.
You do it in fucking Japan. You do it in the United States.
Right.
It's like you
Yeah.
fucking. That's how you do it. You do it
That is
at
how you do
fucking
it.
All In or Double or Nothing. You build it to that, and then or fuck, dude, you do a co-branded pay-per-view.
Yeah. Well, I
right?
mean, fuck.
The first of its kind, like for at a level like this, you do.
I mean,
a
Okada
co-branded
even
pay-per-view.
talked about wanting to do, like a couple weeks ago, he
Yep.
was talking about wanting to do like a big event with every wrestling promotion, you know, to elevate everybody. And I couldn't agree more about that. I think,
They're gonna do it in WWE India.
dude,
is
what if you?
they're gonna-
Oh God, what if, like,
In a
what if you
Punjabi
did
prison.
what if you did like almost 2 invasion angles, right? Like
Mm.
US invades Japan, Japan invades US after, or like vice versa, like however you want to do it.
Yes.
Like you
Oh,
have,
that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
dude, and just like
Have
randomly.
you been reading my diary?
Yeah.
I mean,
He's
it's
been
hard
reading
not
my
to read it.
boner thoughts.
It's hard
Yeah.
not to read it when you send it to me.
Yeah.
God.
Like,
That
oh,
was
sorry,
directed
wrong
at
number,
boner
wrong
thoughts.
number. Sorry, meant to text that to someone else.
New phone, who dis? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
The thing about this one too that I think can tie in with your exact idea, Duncan, is the NWA sort of like kind of cross promotion with AEW. So now you can have NWA and AEW teaming up against New Japan because it's like an America versus like Japan thing, right? Like that.
I think
that could
I
work
think it-
brilliantly.
I mean, I think it crosses all of the promotions.
That
I think you're gonna end up. I think you end up with Kenny, Gallows, Anderson, maybe the Bucks, depending on how this whole thing plays out.
It's complicated, Duncan.
Yes, I know. I was married before. I was currently married too. I
Yeah.
understand complicated.
We all have Facebook statuses, except
Right.
Duncan.
except for me.
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
It is. And I think that if you did something like that, those guys show up, take out Gorillas of Destiny, take out Fale, like take out Jay White, do a Jay White versus Kenny Omega.
Yes.
Like, even if there's not, this is how you stretch this out over years.
Oh yeah, this is not within the
That's what I'm
context
saying.
of this year. This is
a
a
long grift,
multi-year
man.
story.
This
Yeah.
is it.
And I think that's what Don Callis and Kenny Omega are sort of saying with all their like interviews and stuff that they've been doing. Like, hey, no, there's like a big picture here. Like, it's
Yes.
not just this, one thing with Impact or whatever it may be. Like, I think that there is in their hands, there's a Nick Aldis Kenny Omega match that will happen. And I think that is gonna,
Absolutely.
I think that's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah. I think also you look at the fact that you could have just, dude, years of programs that are ready built in, and the elite invading New Japan, and then afterwards, right, whatever happens, picture Gorillas of Destiny and Fale showing up at dailies or showing up at
I think you're so close to being perfect with it, but it needs to be the other way around. I think that Japan needs to invade
either way.
AEW.
I don't care how it happens. I'm just saying, like, you have reciprocity.
Yes. When one happens,
so-
then
Yeah, like one naturally leads into the other.
That
And
makes
I think
sense.
Dude, I would love fucking Tamatonga lives here.
Does he?
You know what I mean? He lives in Orlando.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I thought he was
Yep.
stationed. I thought he was just pretty much moved over in Japan at this point, but no.
Nope.
He's
Nope,
still
he lives here.
My bad.
So I could see, dude, like, I would love to see Tamatonga show up at dailies.
I think that will. I mean, I think there's a huge chance of that, and I think that would. I think that would reinvigorate the luster of the Bullet Club as well.
Yes. Yeah, I think you'll get that sort of 2017, 2018
When
Bullet
we
Club
all
vibe
fucking
again.
popped like fucking little schoolgirls for him, like yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, though, the Good Brothers debuted in the ring at AEW, which that wasn't something that, I mean, it's twofold, right? It's one of those things that should have happened way sooner, but I wouldn't have been surprised if it wouldn't have happened for a lot longer. And the way they did it was I loved everything about this. I loved how Don Callis is like talking to the Bucks and Kenny backstage, and like the Bucks think they're teaming in a a 6-man with Kenny. Obviously, at that point, Don Callis says to him, "Oh no, these guys are good, but they deserve their own entrance because they're so good. So Kenny, you're gonna go out on your own, and then after that, the Bucks, you'll come." Well, obviously that didn't happen because he announced Kenny's real best friends in the Good Brothers, who, took the place of the Young Bucks in this match where they thought they had it. And they look great. Carl Anderson is looking better than ever. Gallows is a lazy fat piece of shit.
How much juice is he on? Holy shit.
He is. How red was he? He looked gassed in the first 30. He looked gassed before he got to a ring apron.
Right? It's like that barbarian story or the warlord story where they like.
And that's a short rant,
have you
bro.
Heard this? Hold on. Have you heard this?
I don't think I have actually.
So the warlord Kevin Nash tells this story. And it's the warlord in the locker room back in the 90s in WWF, and he was just like, "Hey, I need you to juice me up." And he goes to Sean and like pulls his trunks down.
Yeah.
And Sean goes to like
pop him with the needle or whatever.
Pop him with the needle, and like the needle breaks, and he goes. He goes, not like breaks off, but like he bends it in his ass because it's like, so he goes, "Bro, I think you're full."
Oh no.
So
we can't get any more in the tank.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that's sort of where Gallows is right now, because he's just like eating way too much pre-workout and fucking just.
There's something off-putting about something off-putting about good old LG.
I'm scared of how like dark and red Gallows is. I'm like, when did you turn into a Native American in 1700?
You actually look like Kane now. Like,
fucking scary.
He got burned by Alexa's fireball.
Exactly.
Seriously.
Right? Yeah, secondhand burn, second degree. I will say, I thought that was awesome, them showing up on AEW, and I don't know if you guys want to talk about the rest of that Dynamite at all, but I will say, one, I had really high hopes.
Remind me what happened? I watched it.
I was going to say I had really high hopes for the women's match.
Which was, was that?
Ty Conti and the women's champ from
Sheeta.
No.
Serena Deeb.
Yeah. And I had really high hopes, and that match fucking sucked. Just because I thought, like, okay, like I was like, I've seen AEW's talent, like they're now on AEW's platform. I want to see like what happens. And
I thought Serena Deeb was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, I think Serena Deeb's every time I see her wrestle, I think she's wonderful.
She's fantastic. At least that match was not fantastic.
Tay Conti's ass was out the whole time, which was sort of enjoyable.
That's a good thing to look at, but the wrestling wasn't there.
Okay, maybe they did not have the connection that we have come to expect from wrestlers in this day and age. But I thought Serena Deeb is in general, like she's a ring general. Like she is fucking good at what she does. And I thought she called that match quite nicely. I don't know, like it didn't have a story, that was part of the problem.
It didn't, that's one thing that I have a hard time. I don't know. I guess I feel I have a hard time believing like the things that she's doing. She's good at what she does.
Yeah.
But she's like fucking like a twig, so I almost don't believe it.
If you guys want to watch a banger women's wrestling match, wait until you watch the women's match on Hard to Kill.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Taya and Deonna Purrazzo.
They're still
Okay.
having a great women's division too, huh? Like
Yeah.
that's been a thing with Impact. Like they
Yep, the knockouts division is
it's always been good. Always
Yeah.
been very
And it's
very
still good.
impressive.
man.
Um,
And we talk about a lot. Like Owen said to me, "Is just like WWE was stupid to get rid of Serena Deeb,"
Yeah.
and I think that WWE was stupid to get rid of Deonna Purrazzo.
Both
like
of them,
she-
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think that I didn't watch that match, so I have no
that was
dog in
just
that
that was
fight.
just one takeaway that I wrote down, and it was a one-off. It was one match. I'm not judging anyone's career on it by any means. I just wanted to point it out since we were talking about Dynamite. And then the other thing was Brian Cage and Darby Allin.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, the
I'm-
Yeet match. It was,
Yeah,
it was
I'm
a
not
Yeet fest.
sure, like, especially with Darby Allin as the TNT title, like, how that really made him look strong, especially with Sting coming out and having to help him. So Sting finally did something. Last week we talked about it that I was getting, and like, still, it didn't really
Yeah.
do it. Like, I popped when he originally showed up, right?
Sure.
Then we said he was getting more TV. He's going to be more involved in the storylines.
Yeah, then we had 3
Okay, I
weeks
get
of
it,
him
I get
just
it.
like showing up
Doing
and
the
being
same
like,
shit.
"Yo, I'm Sting with the baseball bat." Like,
Yeah. Okay. Now he finally used the baseball bat, right? And
Right.
still didn't do that much for me, but it helped Darby retain the title in a match that, by all other means, he should have fucking lost because he had the living shit beat out of him, and it
Yep.
didn't prove anything except for that he can take pain, which we all knew already.
yeah.
Do you think?
I thought that was just weird. Like, I know Brian Cage is a fucking beast, but I just thought that was weird to do to a champion.
Here's what I wonder. I wonder if we're all about to get severely swerved and tomorrow night on Dynamite, when Sting like interviews or has his like meeting with Darby.
Has his weekly,
Well, no, like they're actually
coffee.
they're actually promoting it as like the two of them in the ring,
Oh, are
like
they?
one-on-one. And I wonder if Darby gets in Sting's face about that. I wonder if he's sort of like, "Why are you like, I don't need your help," kind of thing. And I wonder if it then goes into a Sting versus Darby.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. The only thing that I think stands in the way of it is a Sting Taz thing,
Sure.
because
I would feel
in
I
a
think
cinematic match or something, like a Sting
Oh,
versus Taz. I
God.
know I don't want it, but it just feels like something that might happen.
I mean, maybe, but I think that, oh God, no, please don't do that.
yeah.
Like, please don't do that.
If you're
I
gonna
don't
do it,
necessarily,
do Sting and Ricky Starks. If you really have to do that with a member of Team Taz, do it with Ricky Starks. That's the way I would do it.
I mean, I guess,
But
like,
then why don't you just have Darby and Ricky Starks?
I am just saying that to go to Matthew's point of without Sting interfering, Darby would have lost the TNT title. So I think that
It doesn't make him look strong.
does not make him look strong. The only thing that I could see, like, you want to put Darby over as a star, have him beat Sting.
Yeah. I think that's
That
good
would be
book.
cool. I'd be into
Yeah.
that. I'd be into that.
The other two things that I was going to throw out from last week's Dynamite,
Sure.
which we can talk about them or not talk about them, which is Chuck Taylor as Miro's new butler,
Ha.
which is funny to me, and then the Inner Circle versus themselves this week on Dynamite in a 2-on-2-on-2.
I like
So
both
Santana
these.
Ortiz, yeah.
I like both these story developments. I like how they're doing this. I think especially with Trent being out for a little while, this is a good use for Chuck Taylor. I think
Yep.
they're like, he might be able to bring out some good stuff in Miro, and I think they might be able to do a lot of like, hopefully they can play with Miro's comedic side, which I think is needed in AEW. Chucky T would be perfect with that, and eventually you could have a great big blow off feud. Chucky T's, I actually think that Chucky T is gonna hate it for a while. Then he's actually gonna like become best friends with Miro, and I think the two of them are gonna be buds for a little bit until then we have the eventual turning from one or the other. So it's gonna be like a reluctant friendship at first, and then like it might blossom. I also like the idea of the inner circle sort of like having like what's the exact match? I know it's like 3 tag teams.
Santana and Ortiz versus MJF and Jericho versus Sammy and Hager.
So it's like a 3-way tag team.
I would assume it'll probably be like a tornado triple threat tag.
Yeah.
Tornado triple threat tag. Yeah. Only in wrestling do you get names like that. But yes.
Yeah. Well, and Taco Bell.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think that has some promise, like in a weird way.
I just liked the promo, like in what was happening, and like Sammy getting all uppity, and like I just think they played it well. That like they're not doing the split of the inner circle so abruptly that like one thing breaks it. We're having all of these little things over time. It's like it's actually like fracturing over time, and then we're gonna get the big break, and we're seeing it. But we're seeing each person and or group like kind of crack in their own. Like we saw like Hager and like Wardlow have their time. Then they had a match. Then like we're seeing like people break and then have like, and they're trying to fix it. It's like this like really tumultuous bad relationship that you keep going back to and trying to fix, and eventually you give up on it or fucking it completely blows up, right? Like it's like I think they're doing a good job in the storytelling of that. I do really quickly want to say, like, and we can talk about this later or not at all, but like what happens to Orange Cassidy now that Chuck Taylor is doing this with Miro? Does he then have something with Kip Sabian? Does he go away for a little while because he's been on such a hot streak and then can come back? Or is he just kind of in the background in some of these vignettes and kind of used lightly right now?
I don't think Cassidy needs to do anything different other than just be the single star that he is. Like he's already won. Like he's already got it. So he doesn't. Of course, it's nice having the best friends around him, but I don't think he doesn't need them. Like he can absolutely.
He
survive.
doesn't need them, but where does he go next?
Yeah, but where does he go?
Where does he go?
Because right now, because you can't just let him ride on
him and
that team with
Sabian. I think
Jericho.
him and Sabian probably, or him and Miro again. Like they've got to do something with that. Like
he's got to like try and free Chuck. Or
yeah, that's probably what you do. I don't know. Or you go in a completely different direction and you just pretend that didn't exist in the past and go,
Yeah, or you do a bit where he fucking shows up instead of like Chucky can't make it to the fucking to be the butler for the day, and he sends Orange Cassidy to stand in.
And then Orange gets him fired.
Shit. Yeah,
that'd be funny.
Yeah.
Right, that motherfuckers.
Yeah, but yeah, the inner circle one. Sorry,
the inner circle one.
I love that, and honestly, like
I think this is the chance for Santana on Ortiz as well.
Yes, well, because they're being squandered.
Yep, by the inner circle at this point.
Yeah, like their talent as a tag team has not been showcased nearly enough.
They're a comedy tag team, really. I mean, apart from the one match, like not one, but the one. I mean, they did have the 1 5-star match of AEW, this past year. So, with the street fight. So
right,
yeah, and I think, and also you got I don't know. I think it could end up being a good match. You got the fact that Sammy called Chris Jericho a tag team slut.
Yeah.
I mean, not wrong.
That could be cool too. And now we see the inner circle sort of like melting down, and this was a good way of also kind of positioning a way that MJF could potentially take over, which I personally feel is the end goal of that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. But I don't know. I just think that Santana and Ortiz deserve to have a run.
Oh yeah, I think they deserve
They
to have a
do.
run. I want to see them have a run. I want to see a banger with them and Lucha Bros.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
honestly-
I've seen a banger of them with Lucha Bros, and I want to see it on that fight, like in that
Right?
AEW ring. Like,
Yes.
Jesus
Fucking
Christ.
give me that match.
Yeah, give me that match. Give me Santana and Ortiz versus the Bucks. Give me them versus FTR.
That's what
Like-
I see personally. I think that Santana and Ortiz should be the ones to take the belts off the Bucks.
I completely agree. Like, I think that if you want to establish them as a true,
That's how you do it.
yeah, absolutely. And they just announced them as part of the new like the new series of AEW action figures, along with Sammy Guevara.
No more women yet, though. I noticed that.
No, that's true. And real quick, before my high ass forgets it, I know we talked about Ricochet last week. It turns out his contract runs until 2024. So,
So he ain't going nowhere.
no.
Yeah, we did talk about last week, and then 2 days later, felt like a jabroni because I saw he even tweeted like "this is fake" 2 days later.
Right.
That's funny.
Oops.
Also, very quickly, did you see that AEW have filed the trademark for Too Sweet?
I did not.
Really?
That broke today. AEW filed the trademark for Too Sweet. So I don't think it's the hand gesture, because hand gestures are, of course, almost impossible to
Right.
trademark. So it must just be the phrase "too sweet." How the fuck have they not done that?
Mine just hasn't gone through.
Yeah, but I'm just impressed. Like, WWE must have
Because-
forgotten, let it go, or something like that.
I
or,
think
like,
probably like
it-
it must have lapsed.
and now they're trying to get it. So AEW is trying to get
Either
it.
that-
They don't
either
have
that or
it, but they.
Or maybe like it's one of those things where if like WWE has it and they haven't used it in
In a
X
certain amount of time. Yeah.
And once again, I am not a lawyer, so
Hey,
that makes
me.
2 out of the 3 of us who are not lawyers.
I wish you were, though, Duncan, because we've been promised for weeks upon weeks for an NXT match that still has not happened.
Oh, the
pit match.
whole fight pit.
Yeah, the pit match or whatever it was called still
The
didn't happen on
The
this
fight
past.
pit is still not
not
a thing.
happening. So there's that. I'm kind of surprised, honestly. It's like, all right, they must have given up on that idea.
Dude, we've been in there. How fucking hard would it be?
It would be a pain in the dick.
Right.
It would
Like, how
suck.
hard would it be to do that? Because I think probably what they did for the first fight pit, I would assume that they were still filming at Full Sail, so they would have probably, like, you know what I mean? It would have been easier for them to do shit, because there is not any space.
No, not really. Not really.
But then again, there's not that much space at
No.
NXT at Full Sail
Full
either,
Sail
so-
either. Yeah, I've been to both, and they're not really that much different, to
Right.
be honest with
Same.
you.
So
Really
Can
quick. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. My bad.
Oh,
My bad.
I didn't want to cut you off. I just wanted to throw out. I know we're getting close to the end here.
We
and
sure are.
I did see someone threw out in the group a couple of days ago about the new camera they're using.
Oh
with
yeah. See, I
WWE.
hadn't noticed it, and then I went back. I'm like, I'm an idiot. I didn't.
So yeah, so I actually hadn't watched SmackDown with them.
I
Using it.
hadn't watched those parts of SmackDown
Yeah,
that they were
exactly.
talking
So
about.
I went back, and what I saw in the article was the Roman entrance, right?
Have you
which-
seen this shit, Duncan?
Which I then
I have not.
It's
so
like a
they're
new
using-
camera. Like it's
a
crazy,
mega,
man.
It's like the mega something camera. It's what they're using with the NFL, or something like
It
that,
kind of
right?
like
It's-
blurs the background.
So it's like
or,
a soft focus in the back and like a hard focus up front. It's like a really high def 8K camera,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh
And
wow.
so it makes it look like a video game entrance. So like when they're walking down, it's just them and everything is soft focus in the back, right? And it's
That's
like real
weird.
fucking crazy AK focus.
It's
watch
gonna be the
entrance.
new thing. Watch one of
It's-
those entrances.
Okay.
There's only
and
like
they
four.
do-
They
they
used it like
does-
4 times on the past SmackDown, and that's it. Like it wasn't every entrance.
They used it on Jeff Hardy last night on Raw.
Oh, did they? I didn't notice.
Yeah, and it
Another one I
looked
didn't
like
notice.
a fucking because I caught the last hour of Raw, and it looked like so I watched the Roman, and I was like, yeah, it looks like a video game. I was like, he looks good, and I was like, but I don't like that Jay and Paul are behind him, and they're blurred.
Yeah, they're blurred.
That
They're
was
washed out.
weird to me, like, because you can see, I was like, they're blurred because it's all soft, right? And then
It's like
I
a
watched-
depth, like a force depth
it's a
perception.
it's totally. So anything in the front, it's like if you do portrait mode
a
on your
pop.
iPhone,
I
right?
gotcha.
Like, so
I
go to
gotcha.
portrait mode on your iPhone, right? It kind of like it's soft focus in the back, real hard focus in what you're
Mhm.
focusing on, and so, but it's in 8K, and so whatever that I'm sure they're working on 12K or something by this point,
Right.
But
Whatever.
yeah, and 6G, and we're all gonna have microchips inside our fucking heads through
Yeah.
birds or something. Who knows? But Bill Gates is behind
That's
it.
that's if you believe that birds are real.
Yeah, COVID's been around since 01. I've had COVID since 01.
Yeah.
But regardless,
COVID started on 9/11.
Birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real.
yeah, birds are definitely not real. And so anyway, so it's like that. It's like the portrait mode. So I think that I do like it, but only when there are, and I have only a few references to this, not very, and it's basically the Roman one I saw and the Jeff Hardy entrance. The Jeff Hardy one I thought was fucking badass,
Yeah.
but the Roman one
You didn't like so much.
kind of badass, but I didn't like it as much because he had a stable with him, and the stable was blurred. That's the reason
I do think you're right. I think it works for certain people and not everyone. Like I hope it doesn't. I have a feeling that's probably what they're gonna do. Is it's gonna be just like, yeah, that works for this person, or it doesn't work for this person.
And
or something like
I think
that.
with what they're doing in the Thunderdome, like you have so much lighting design and pyro and things like that. Like you also don't want to lose the definition on that in certain areas and like certain angles that camera is going to be taking. So I think they're trying to figure out how they're using it, and I'm willing to give them the time. I obviously have no choice. It's not like my say, but I'm willing to give them the time to figure it out to make it work. Like I'll give them a month or so, and then they should probably have it down. But it is cool, Duncan.
It's
I would
kind
say
of the new future of entrances.
I would say look up Roman's
look
entrance
up one of them
and look up Jeff Hardy's entrance, because that's the only other one that I know that I saw last night that had it. And it is kind of cool, but it's fucking a little surreal. It's like when I put on my fucking Oculus, shit's surreal.
It definitely looks different than you're used to it looking, which is interesting. I will say very quickly before we get out of here, as we wrap things up, I missed that Ziggler and Roode were the tag team champions. That seemed to like happen out of nowhere. Like that's a thing now apparently. So I missed that.
I believe that happened
it happened before our last show. Like I think the Friday, somehow I missed that whole thing.
Well, I mean, you would never think of it, right?
Right. And I also am like very indifferent and don't give a shit about that, to be honest with you.
It's like, when did those two become a tag team? Oh, like an hour ago? Great. Now they're the champions.
Exactly.
Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a shit?
The first episode of Dark Side of the Ring on their next season, which I believe is season 3, will be about Brian Pillman. And they've even got Stone Cold on there. So that's going to be a real interesting one, I will say. I wanted to mention very briefly about how Flair is just trying to fuck Lacey Evans, and that's clearly what's going on there. Rick, you dirty dog, you just try to woo your way into the pants of Lacey Evans, which I can't blame him.
I mean, Yeah, and she's married
Yeah,
and a Marine.
exactly. Probably beat his ass.
Mm.
But we also then have the just very quickly the story of Peyton Royce, who lost to Charlotte on last night's Raw, and it was so idiotic. We all thought it when they broke the Iconics up. When very interestingly, just after they announced, we've got like women's tag team belts now. So why would you break up one of your only, tag teams, women's tag teams?
Well, they did give them the belts for
for like a minute or two, and then they broke them up. So Peyton's now losing to Charlotte, while Billie Kay is fucking killing it on SmackDown, basically. And I've always said this. I'll be honest, she's always been my favorite, Billie Kay. I know she's not as good in the ring, but she has always just had more of the character and been like, I don't know. I've liked her more of the two of the Iconics. So I'm really happy to see Billie Kay doing it. And it's interesting because too, we heard that WWE management or the office or whatever it is, backstage was really hot on Peyton Royce. And things seem to, of course, shifted again, which never do they do in WWE.
Dude, Billie Kay is just like...
She's money, bro.
Yeah, she's obnoxious in the right ways. You know what I mean? Like, she's just like... At the last week with her and the Riot Squad, it's just like, oh my God, Blink 182, because that's what they say.
Uh-huh.
Like,
and her plastic surgery makes her that much more fucking cringy.
I think so too. Yeah.
I mean, Peyton Royce was doing like the female bodybuilding or whatever, so like that was definitely
Peyton Royce got
into that.
They both used to look a lot better, but
yes.
they both used to look.
I digress.
But I digress.
Yeah, it was is very interesting. That like hopefully there's a long-term payoff to an Iconics reunion and everybody will rejoice.
They've got to. I'm sure they will at some point.
Yeah,
I'm sure they will.
Give it to me at the Rumble.
Yeah, that being said, is it time? I think it's time, boys. The only other thing that we didn't talk about was how mad was Goldberg when Gilbert showed up last night, because he's always hated it.
Probably not as mad as he is about Riddle's tweet.
Oh, Riddle, just protect your feet, bro. Bobby Lashley, you're mean, bro. Stomping on those things.
Camera guy, you're fired.
Yeah, that was actually pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Funny segment, even though that happened. But whatever, it is what it is. We love you. We will see you hopefully next week, probably about the same time on Tuesdays over at twitch.tv/ONRS Live. Check out our Patreon. If you want to throw us a couple extra bucks, if you got them, we'd really enjoy that. That would help me. That would help the fam. That would help everything to do with Oh No Media. Check that out at patreon.com/ONRS. Please find us on Facebook. Join our group. Like our page. And of course, find Oh No Wrestling on YouTube. Subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do over there. Whew. Boys, what do we say when we get out of here?
100 episodes and a lot of gold.
Let's give us a 100%. Let's give us a 100 woo. Here we go.